This is great. This is terrific. They said that I didn't know what they wanted me to say, so besides for the thank you, so I'm going to start with a couple thank yous and get those out of the way. Alpo mentioned very quickly about my wife. Laura, I know you don't want to stand up, but raise your hand so everyone sees you. There it is. Okay. Thank you. For all of the success that I may have achieved, for all the honors that seem to come my way, particularly in the last few years. Alpo said it right. There's the strong woman behind the man, but Laura's more than that. She's not only has maintained our family life and our home life, she is in all essence the equal of a partner. And if you guys ever want to go out into business on your own, I cannot stress to you more, marry someone smarter than you. That's the best thing you can do. So that will work there. My family, I got 2 boys upstairs running around in a room somewhere, and hopefully they haven't burned it down yet, but I'm very lucky. I have a family that allowed me to travel very extensively over the years to do my business, to be able to be successful, and they gave up a lot of, as we call family time, and I appreciate that. And also I want to thank Alpo for the terrific introduction and basically tell everyone about myself and passing out bios, which everyone I'm sure wants to read. That's good. Yeah. Good bathroom reading, as we like to say. Here's what I want to really get the message across. We talked about the power of radio, and really what I want to tell you guys in this room is the power of WJPZ. My first experience came because of WJPZ. I got introduced to radio on the other side of the mic because of WJPZ. My first partner on the air happened to be Alpo, who had a shift and said, how about you come across to Watson Theater, which happened to be right across from Marion. Thank God, that's where I was my freshman year. I didn't have to walk far. If it was more than that, I wasn't going to go. But he invited me on, and that's my first experience, and that's when I really, really fell in love with the business. I didn't think I'd end up in radio, but that was the beginning of a long journey. My first job I got because I worked at WJPZ. I graduated with that TRF major. I wanted to do television. I went to New York City. I looked for a network TV job, couldn't find anything, and luckily I had the experience with WJPZ, a radio syndication company called MJI Broadcasting. Was looking for someone to come and do affidavit retrieval, and I needed a job desperately, and only because I worked at WJPZ did I get the job. So that's another connection there. My first convention I went to, you guys will all go through that experience when you actually have to get out of our little cocoon that we call WJPZ and meet others. And the first person I got to meet at a convention that was a warm, friendly face, believe it or not, Rob Burrell. So another inductee tonight who actually, came over and said, hey, look at the two of us. We're out in the world and we're actually in the business. And that made me feel terrific at that point. My first major sale I ever made at a radio station was another WJPZ alumni, a gentleman named Carl Weinstein, who was around, and we were on the air together. A great fella. He went to Flint, Michigan, and signed up for a whole bunch of programming that I was selling. I always will appreciate that. The first scholarship that actually I was involved with, I helped to create, happens to be from the Conclave, which I'm very involved in, and that was for WJPZ students to attend. Our first client, Foreign Vision, one of the first people that we ever went out and actually represented outside of our company, happened to be Rocco McRae, another inductee tonight, who does Promo Suite and listener email. So I feel very fortunate that our connections with WJPZ and the power. So just know that tonight in this room, you're sitting next to your peers who are going to be out in this business, and when you connect again, you realize it all started here and how powerful that will be. And let's talk a little bit about, connecting and networking. When you get out of here, you're either going to be a connector, which means you're going to be a person who's going to be able to introduce other people to each other, or you're going to have to figure out how to network to become a connector. Either way, it's important for you to realize that you need to make these relationships to succeed in the world. And luckily for me, I was able to connect early on with someone like Alpo, who, if you would look at the Envision Radio website, is built by a company called Single Source, which happens to be owned by Alpo and Dee, who are sitting over there. Jed Buck was someone who I lived with my freshman year in Marion. When we set up Envision Radio Networks, he was president and CEO of Jones Radio Networks, and they represent all of our advertising that we do across the country. David Katz, who you'll see and meet in a couple minutes here, also lived in Marion our freshman, sophomore year, and you're going to see and hear someone more important than me tonight, Elvis Duran, and that comes because of a connection with David and being able to bring him here. Dee Alpern over here, who works with Rick, and we all lived in Marion again together, has helped consult Laura in terms of setting up our HR and accounting and all that for Envision. And again, I'm just going through the list of people who happen to live together in the same dorm in our freshman and sophomore years. So then let's move on to the WJPZ connections. I already told you about Rocco McRae. Rich Vernay is another fellow that was back when we did the radio together, was a music director. He has already sent me at least 2 to 3 clients that we now represent because of that connection. Rob Burrell, as I told you about. Rob Burrell actually introduced me to his program director so I can get a sale done in Minneapolis where he was working. Mary Mancini, I know these are all names I'm bringing out from the past. But Mary Mancini was the first person to show me actually how to do blogging and to blog on the internet for our different shows and services. And then, of course, there's Danny the K. Class, and anyone knows him, a terrific morning show talent who gave it all up and a comedian and actually is probably the godfather of podcasting. He actually was one of the first people to go out and podcast and showed our company how to podcast. So the connections, again, run deep. And that's important for you guys to remember that, know that, learn it, live it, and make sure that you take that with you when you walk out the doors here. And here's what I'm going to leave you with, because a lot of you are going to be graduating, and I think this is very important to understand. You know, the radio business continues to contract. It is getting tougher and tougher to find jobs, to be a part of this business, and to be successful in the business. So what I want you to understand is that in order to get a job in this business, you must be multifaceted. Okay, anyone who's doing an on-air shift, and if you are really good at that, I strongly suggest you learn how to do sales. And if you're really good at doing promotion, I suggest you learn how to do marketing. And I suggest if you're good at any one of those things, you learn how to do all 4 of them. Because when you leave here, you think you're going to go out and get an on-air job, and the fact of the matter is the best you may get is being a promotion director or a marketing director. Or, God forbid, you're going to have to go in and do sales. And again, if you want to ever make money, that's where it's at. You're going to want to do sales. So here's an idea. This came to me while I was putting together my notes. Anyone who wants to get an on-air job, here is what I would tell you I would do if I walked into a radio station. Walk in with your resume, get your interview, have your air check, do your tape and all that stuff. And when they say, we're not sure we want you, there's 10,000 other people probably been in the business longer than you. Why should I hire you? You say, I'm going to work for half as much as they are, and I'm going to do sales. I'm actually going to sell all the commercials during my air shift. If you walk into a station today and say that, I'm willing to bet, a few bucks on it that they would hire you over anyone else. Think about it. I would walk out there and try that. Here's another idea. How many of you are Twittering? Who has a Twitter account? Okay? Just so you know, you heard it here first. I'm telling you, Twitter will be the future. Twitter will be bigger than Google. So figure out how to use Twitter, and if you can figure out how to generate and grow online, the online exposure and the community websites that Twitter can do, any company out there will hire you in a second. So pay attention to that, because that's the new technology and it's applying to businesses. Our company right now is beginning to set up Twitter accounts for all of our shows and services.